It's in the cards, but exposure can stop them. But right now, let's go back to your calls. Tommy in Tennessee, thank you for holding. You're on the air worldwide, then Billy and others.
Hey, Alex, how you doing?
Pretty good, sir.
First of all, I'd like to say the wife, the children, and I go into a prayer of agreement daily for the protection of you, the crew, and the Pauls, along with your family.
Thank you.
One thing I've realized, this whole racism with Ron Paul, Mitt Romney was a missionary for the Mormons, and the Mormons do believe that when Cain killed Abel, that they were marked by being black. Why is that never exposed in the media? He is a racist.
I didn't know that, but look, Mitt Romney is the establishment candidate, so he could have literal skeletons in his closet and not get in trouble. I mean, the guy is for carbon taxes and wrote the law for Massachusetts that is Obamacare. And wait, there's more. He's for gun control, open borders. I mean, just like it's all the same stuff with Gingrich. I mean, anybody the system is comfortable with is a globalist. I mean, it's real simple, really.
And nobody exposes the fact that the Mormons do believe this. There's a cartoon of it that you can watch on YouTube, and it just exposes the whole Mormon religion, and it's just demonic. It's just evil.
Well, I don't really know that much about Mormon folks, and we have a lot of listeners that are Mormons and seem like really nice people, but I mean, I think that should be looked into if what you're saying has any merit in it, or if it's true. The thing is, there's so many different religions and groups that I've over the years, I think I've heard some of that before, but I've never actually dug into it. I did see the South Park, though, but who knows if that's true? You know, they make fun of 9/11 truthers. Why don't you send me some information on that?
Well, I'm a Prisonplanet TV member, but I don't do it from my home.
I hear you, my friend. I appreciate your call. Let's go ahead and talk to Billy Bob in California. Billy Bob, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hi, Alex.
Hey, buddy.
I'm a bit nervous. I called Burma's show 2 years ago warning of the specific internet censorship approach. I'm actually involved at the registrar level of the internet. What I think I'm seeing is SOPA is serving to distract the discussion from the upcoming new TLD deployment. There was a very strong new TLD opposition before this SOPA discussion started. And SOPA is serving to, in my opinion, buy off those that were trying to fight the new TLD deployment.
Yeah, I know they're about to change who holds the domain name registration and designation, and I guess that would be the DNS. And I mean, I know my IT people understand it. I don't fully understand it, but I know that they're talking about handing it over to this, global group, and they're saying if we don't like you, you're going to be delisted. Not only will they shut down your website itself, but they'll shut down, and then now they're announcing that they want an internet ID, and so you'll then be banned off the internet without judge or jury if they ever say so. So it's all part of tracking everything you do as well. Is that an accurate summation?
Roughly, that's probably where it's headed.
Okay, well, I'm going to stop you then. You got 3 minutes. I want you to get together what the TLD is. So I remember seeing that in the last few months. Big hubbub about it. Explain it in layman's terms to people straight ahead here, and why you see the SOPA bill as a distraction compared to what's happening with ICANN and all the rest of it. Explain it to us in layman's terms on the other side. Then I'll get into the eugenics news and more of your calls today. Wow, it's great taking calls, isn't it? They're taking us in every direction you can imagine. I'm going to get into the true threats that humanity faces, the globalist eugenics program here today, and I'm going to do an in-depth special report that will air probably Thursday or Friday coming up later this week on this with even more documentation. Then we'll continue with your phone calls. But if you just joined us, Billy in California called, and he was talking about the SOPA bill that gives government the illegitimate power to selectively kill switch people's domains, no judge, no jury. If there's a copyright claim, they just shut you down. I have an article today that even copyright trolls, even lawyers are saying this is out of control. The 80 inventors of the Internet have gone public and said it's the end of the Internet as we know. It's the Chinese communist style system that Yahoo, Google, and Microsoft have helped build for them in China. But separately, the caller rung a bell that in the last month or two, I've seen other people worrying about the handover of the ICANN system or where the domains are actually registered, basically to the UN and another private consortium. So he's calling it, this new TLD negotiation. So we'll look more into this, caller. Billy, in layman's terms, you're saying you work at the IT level for domain control globally, and I know still that's held with, I guess, Network Solutions here. But just break it down for us, and then I'll have my researchers ferret into it, and then we can get a new report out and explain that it's not just SOPA, that's part of it. Yeah, I mean, again, the reason I'm holding you over is what you talked about I am somewhat aware of, but technically, in layman's terms, break it down for everybody.
Okay, I'm not involved with Network Solutions. There's approximately 1,200 companies that are involved with that level of management, so I just want to make that clear. My concern, top-level domains. Top-level domains are .com, .net. That is the text to the right of the dot in the address. There is about to be an expansion of those top-level domains. My concern is something that's very subtle and very different about these new top-level domains. They will not have pricing caps. Currently, .com, .net, .org, and other top-level domains have pricing caps. That means that all registrants, when the registration occurs at the registry, the price charged is the same for all registrations. The new TLDs will not have those pricing caps. They will be They can be individually priced. It is up to the
And so who makes the money off of that? You're saying they, just like a .tv, they can charge more already. You're saying the system's going to make money off this and probably use it to censor the web?
That's where I'm headed. So basically what happens is when the new top-level domains come out, they have no pricing caps. There's an equal treatment clause between the registries and ICANN. So the natural next step is for the .com, .net, and other registries that have pricing caps to say, look, these new top-level domains have no pricing caps, and you have to treat us equally. We want a removal of our pricing caps. So immediately... And
so now Infowars.com is not $5 to re-register for the year. It could be $10,000.
Well, here's my concern. This is a ridiculous argument, and I don't agree with it, but I see this being the argument that somebody tries to use. You, Alex Jones, have developed a huge following on your Infowars.com domain name, and therefore the burden, quote-unquote, that you are creating on the infrastructure is much greater than everybody else.
No, they're already saying that where the people that use the most bandwidth, even though you're already paying for it with your data plan on your cell phone or DSL or whatever, that you've got to pay more, even though that's already all priced in. On the data plan you get, they're already, just like they put taxes on trucks 90 years ago saying they're using your roads and then it gets given to everybody. No, they've said under Internet 2, that is the strategy. You're absolutely right.
The critical difference there is that is on the client side. That is on the people at home using the Internet. That hasn't been presented at the server side, and you're connecting up and being available on the Internet. So the next step is, in my concern, is the attack on people who are manifesting the content on the Internet and how that is linked to the domain registration. So...
Yeah, but they're also saying now they're transferring it to this other quasi-private group and that they're going to just start killing domains. And then some would argue, well, you could still just have a server address, the zeros and ones or whatever. But they're saying now that they can even start killing the DNS number, correct?
Yeah, and the link between that, in my view, is ICANN has a monopoly on control of top-level domains. And so as they expand new top-level domains, of course, they're going to expand the ones that have the greatest possibility of success, going back to the revenue generation that you were talking about. And that basically denies third parties from creating alternative domain name systems. Therefore, over time and very quickly, you have a crystallization of the monopoly of naming under ICANN. At that point, ICANN is just a wedge control of the Internet. And sure, transferring that to another entity, in effect, transfers the control of the Internet itself. So
well, yeah, no, it's like handing the deeds over to the public highways to foreign offshore megabanks, and then they slap toll roads on it and restripe the road and call it a new road and get around the federal law that you can't put a toll on an existing paid-for freeway that becomes a tollway. And this is the name of the game. They just rename it and take it over. And look, if you go back to Internet 2 meetings they've had for 12, 13 years I've followed, they always talk about this. This has always been their plan. The question is, will they get away with it? And now under the threat of cyber attacks and things that undoubtedly they'll launch themselves, they're moving in that direction because from when I've seen, the power structure thought they'd use the Internet and the public would never organize against the, quote, dinosaur media and defeat it. Now that they're being routed and that they're so scared, they are going to attempt a cocktail or a wolf pack strategy to cut off different ways of the web and phase it into this controlled taxed system. That's admittedly now happening. The question is technology developing so fast and proliferating so fast that as they try to start shutting us down, which is already beginning, we grow into new areas and expand, metastasize virally, if you could use their terms, to where they can't stop us. The question is, can we spread faster than they can stop us? And will people realize these moves are being made because the system wants to keep control of the matrix?
Agreed. People need to come up with alternative ways of indexing the Internet. Currently, people in first world countries, the cost of a domain registration is negligible. So the cost of people having a voice on the Internet and access to the entire Internet and everybody on it is negligible. But if that cost suddenly goes from $6 to $6,000, it becomes very obvious that free speech ends, and the empowerment of the individual that the Internet provides ends there.
Well, it's worse than that, though. Again, you're absolutely right, but it's worse than that. They're coming out and saying under SOPA, they'll order search engines to delist information. They're talking about using the Shazam-type software where they can just erase a person's voice off the web. Give the orders, send the network-wide command out to everyone, and then basically have a voice, my voice or others' voices, erased. I mean, they could. This is really the stuff we're getting into here. The taxing, the regulations, the killing sites without ever being convicted. I mean, it is designed. And of course, the inventors of the Internet, most of them are establishment types, but they're saying it's going to screw the Internet up. I mean, do you have a concern there on the SOPA situation that bringing in Chinese-style or Iranian-style censorship is going to really screw the Internet up?
Please don't misunderstand anything that I said as support for SOPA. I agree with everything that you're saying about SOPA. SOPA fundamentally destroys and will cause corruption of the domain name system in very damaging ways and in very lasting ways. For example, if somebody shuts down a domain name, okay, that gets filtered. Well, those lists that are used to perform that filtering operation, there is no requirement to ever clean up those lists. So in effect, once that domain name gets added to the list, it will never be removed. So just the potential poisoning of valuable domain names forever is itself a destabilization on the entire naming system.
And now they're coming out, News Corps suing Skype because it has the word sky in it. This patenting of words and language to disassemble it. George Orwell is rolling in his grave.
Internet is a disruptive technology.